Anike is a 14-year-old girl and she sells oranges for her mother. One day while she was hawking oranges, the law enforcement agent stopped her and drew the attention of the mother to it. This did not go down well with the mother, who felt that she was being deprived of the opportunity of having her child sell for her. But then she was told that the right of the child was being impinged upon. And that is exactly why we will be talking about the child rights law. What is the child rights law? What exactly are the issues here, and how can we protect the rights of the child? These and several other questions you will find answers to in the course of today's episode of Law and Justice, your TV human rights program. Yomi Ogunye is my name. My guest today, a legal practitioner, is a face you have seen once on this program, but we consider it necessary to have him here again. And he is Mr. Olumide Ogidan. And sir, you are welcome to the program.
You're most welcome, sir.
The other day we talked about freedom of movement. Today we are going to talk about the right of the child.
Okay, sir.
We are going to discuss this under what we call Ondo State Child Rights Law.
Yes.
I would want you to lead us into this discussion.
Ondo State Child Rights Law was domesticated in 2007, and it's an offshoot of the Child Rights Act of 2003, which is also born out of an international convention on the child rights. And Nigeria, being one of the treaties to that international convention, also enacted the Child Rights Act of 2003. And majority of the states of the Federation have also domesticated that law in order to protect the rights of the child. And Ondo State, being one of the states in the Federation, has domesticated our own child rights law. And that's why we have the Child Rights Law of Ondo State 2007.
All right. We are talking about the rights of the child.
Yes.
So I would want you to enumerate these rights. What are these rights that should be accorded to the child?
The rights are many, as it were. First of all, we should even look at the definition of a child in this regard.
Okay, that's good.
Yes.
Who is a child?
Who is a child? By that law, a child is somebody who is below 18 years. Anybody below 18 years is considered as a child. That's why in your analysis of Anike, you said she's a 14-year-old lady. So by that definition, Anike is covered by that law, and she must have her rights protected under the law. And the rights of the child are numerous. Rights to education. For instance, we have talked about Anike being subjected to hard labor. All those are some of the areas in which the right also covers. The girl-child rights, the issue of assault, rape, and all of that, they are all covered by that law.
All right. I would want us to pick these rights one after the other, yes, and enumerate them.
Yes.
When you say right to education,
yes,
what exactly does that mean?
By that law, every child is, should have access to the basic primary education. And by that law, every child must be made to go to school and have the basic education, which is fundamental to those children.
Okay.
They are also encapsulated under that law.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what other rights does the child have?
Many. You have rights to, to be raised to have good parental, rights.
Okay.
And then, you have rights to not to be subjected to hard labor, because that's very prevalent in our society now, where children are subjected to, several child labor practices. Then also it covers all this child slavery. Some people are being carted away out of the country under the guise of giving them education, and they are being subjected to some forms of slavery outside Nigeria. All those are also parts of the rights of those children. And most of these rights are also part of what is inalienable to those children, because they have they have needs that must be met the parents should see them as part of, of them. But unfortunately, what we see today is that even some children are not well catered for. And that's why you see them hawking on the streets, being subjected to, hard labor. Some of them are taken away as house girls, as boys, even at that tender age. And all of those are then right to good feeding. And that's why government is also introducing free meal to schools, because they also have right to good health care. They have right to, good feeding policies. All these are parts of the rights.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Now, how can this law be implemented? You have raised quite a lot of issues: food, health, school, hard labor, and all of that. So how can we ensure the full implementation of this law?
The question that will come to mind is, how well educated are our people about these laws? And that's why I'm happy that you are bringing up this topic at this time. So how many people are informed about this law, that even the child has a right to all of these things we have talked about? So in implementing these rights also, I think the Ministry of Women Affairs, they are not doing very badly in that regard. They are basically part of the people implementing that law. And we also have several other non-governmental, all these NGOs that are coming up also to take up the issue of child rights. And they are also trying to ensure that people comply with such like you said now, Anike was arrested for hawking on the street when she's supposed to be in school learning. Those are ways of implementing the child rights law that we are talking about. And it also boils down to we, parents and guardians, to also ensure that we don't violate that law. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. In the course of implementing this law,
yes,
there are challenges.
Definitely.
Government confronts challenges in getting people to abide by this law.
Yes.
What challenges confront the implementation of this law?
Well, like we have said earlier, people are not informed. Some people don't even know that what they are doing is a violation of the law. For instance, the mother of Anike who puts oranges in a tray and puts on her head to hawk on the street will, from her own intention, say the lady is assisting or the girl is assisting her to fend for the family. But in the other breath, she is a violator of that law. Because by that law, that child ought to be in school. At that time, she's hawking on the streets. So those are some of the challenges that government is facing. People subject some people even adopt children and then turn them to slaves in their homes. And those are some of the challenges that government is facing. And also the major challenge is that there are no people also see this happen around them, but they don't talk. They don't raise alarm. When some people see the way some kids are being maltreated, they are also the government the duty to raise such alarms, because government does not live with us. We are the one living with ourselves. So we should be able to raise alarms when we see all of this violation of children's rights occur around us. Those are ways we can assist government. And
Okay, thank you very much. You talked about child labor.
Yes.
I would want us to revisit that issue.
Yes.
What is your take on having a child as a maid or a houseboy, as they call it?
Yes.
What is your opinion about that? Does that go against the law?
Well, the law, as it were, says children must have basic education. If a child of 10 years old, sir, who is supposed to be in school, is being enrolled as an houseboy or an house girl, as it were, in a particular house, that to me, that's a violation of the law, because such a child is supposed to be in school at that age to have that primary education. So when you turn this child in as an houseboy or an house girl without giving them proper education, or without following that, without fulfilling the intendment of that law with them, then you have violated the law. Because what people do mostly is when they take these kids as house girls and houseboy, some of them give them the proper training They enroll them in schools and allow them have the education, come back and do the chores. But some practically keep them at home, depriving them the right to have that education. So for those who, it's not in itself a bad one that you have an houseboy or an housegirl, but the condition is that you, in having a houseboy or an housegirl who falls below the age of 0 to 18, you must fulfill the law by giving them proper training, proper education, good feeding, good health care. Yes.
Good feeding, good health care for the child.
Yes.
That's what you just said.
Yes.
And viewer, this is Law and Justice, your TV human rights program. We are talking about the Ondo State Child's Right Law, and my guest, Mr. Olumide Ogidan, has been telling us quite a lot. When we come back, you will hear quite a lot more. Don't go away. Welcome back. This is Law and Justice, your TV human rights program. My guest, Mr. Olumide Ogidan, is still very much around. He's been telling us quite a lot about the right of the child. And once again, sir, I welcome you.
Thank you very much, sir.
You were telling us the other time that if somebody engages a child as a maid,
Yes.
that person must ensure
Yes.
that that child is enrolled in
Yes.
school.
Yes.
That's a good one. Now, I want you to tell us elaborately. There are so many things quite happening in our society,
Yes.
you know, that you know about,
Yes.
that many do not know about.
Yes.
What other ways do we have the public or society violate the right of the child?
Well, the society at large, well, we cannot really pin the society at large without also pinning the people that live with the child. That's the basic unit of the society at this moment. Aside the issue of child labor, child slavery, or child molestation, when you also deprive the child of some other, basic facilities and amenities, you are also violating the right of the child. For instance, when the child ought to have some, you don't have a proper health care for the child, you don't have proper feeding system for the child, you don't have proper, amenities that will make the child feel well placed in the society. It's a form of infringement on some of these rights. And also, boiling down to like I said earlier, some people also come under the guise of giving children foreign education and also cut them away to go and become slaves in those. It's also a societal issue because the parent that releases the child to those persons believe that those children will be given the proper attention, education, particularly education and proper well-being. And then you cut them away to turn them to slaves and turn them to, put them under some very severe conditions. It's a societal issue which should also be addressed.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Now, we are talking about the violation of the right of the child.
Yes.
What could be done when it is realized that a child's right has been violated?
Well, if it's a violation of the law and there are punishments for such violation, we've seen it even on media, social media, where some children were beaten with, some were inflicted bodily injuries with iron, pressing iron. Some were molested, because of a little. I watched a video where the child was beaten blue and black by the supposed guardian in such a way, and somebody was covering it via the video and posted it on the media. She was arrested for violating the right of that child. So there are so many ways. Once the right is violated, you'll be arrested and then prosecuted. That's just it.
Now, Anika is a minor.
Yes.
Assuming it was not her mother that was responsible for this.
Yes.
Maybe the father is dead, the mother is also dead.
Okay.
How do you think, under the circumstance, Anike could seek redress to her predicament?
Like I've said, these things, as a child, as a minor, it may be difficult for her to expressly, come out to say, my right has been violated, I've been abused. But what I'm saying is people who live around those places and who observe the recurrent, molestation and all of these abuses have a right to inform government so that government can take the proper action. Like the one I told you about, that the woman was beating a baby, a minor, very severely and was being caught on camera. Somebody took the video of that and posted it. And that was what led to the arrest of that person. So we have to be our brother's keeper. Particularly the rights of these children are very important to us because we don't know who these children will grow up to be in future. So we must also protect such rights.
Talking about Anike, let's assume that she's from a broken home. And many children, experience similar predicaments. How best do you think the interest or rights of such children can be protected?
Yeah, let me add to that, sir. Where perhaps Anike stays with the grandmother.
All right.
Maybe the parents have abandoned her because they are separated. I'm just giving a further insight into your question. Yes, first of all, we should know that parents should have the understanding that whatever differences they have personally, the child or children are their products, and that should be the focal point of parenting. The caution here is, first of all, parents should try as much as possible to avoid divorce and separation in marriages, particularly for the sake of the children. And that's why I've stressed that whatever differences parents have, whether the husband to the wife, they should see the children as their product, as something that comes from them. And so proper care must be given to those children. Perhaps in a situation whereby the child lives with one of the parents, maybe the mother or the father, either of them also owe the child that responsibility to take care of that child.
Okay.
And then in this circumstance, both parents should see it as their primary responsibility. So don't say because the child does not live with me, I don't have a responsibility over the child. You should try as much as possible to also do what is needful in giving the child the proper training, the proper upbringing that they deserve. Because ultimately, these children will grow up to be leaders, will grow up to be adults. And whatever background we give to them is what they will live with. And if we want a sane and a better society, we must give our children proper and, a very good training so that when they grow up, they will live with it. It becomes part of them. So I want to encourage parents, particularly those that are separated, to also see it as their joint responsibility, irrespective of their separation, to give the child the proper training, the proper, the proper amenities, the proper things that the child requires: education, clothing, health, and several other things.
Thank you very much. You have said quite a lot that could get people know how to prevent or keep away from violating the right of the child.
Yes.
But as you already know, there are always those who will not listen.
Yes.
What should be the punishment for them according to the law?
Well, for those who would always, for those who will constantly and consistently violate the laws, there are punishments stipulated by the law for them. And that punishment will also make them serve as deterrence to others who also are recalcitrant in this regard. Because when a child is under your care, you have a duty, you owe the child the duty to give them all that we have talked about: education, health, and all of these things that they require for their upbringing. And once somebody violates it, for instance, you have given us a scenario where perhaps Anike's parents are dead and perhaps she's living with maybe a guardian or another relative who treats her very badly. It's also a duty, like I said, it's duty of the public who live around them to raise the alarm that Anike has been abused. And when such abuse gets to government, they pick up the violator. That's the person inflicting the abuse on the child, and the person is being prosecuted lawfully in the court.
As we come to a close on this program, I would want you to give advice to the public.
Yes, I want to, first of all, advise the public to be aware of some of these laws we are talking about. For instance, the child rights law is also important. So many people do not even know what the right of the child is. And then secondly, people should also adhere to these laws. People should see children as an heritage of God, and we should take care of them. Children should not be abused. Children should not be molested. Children should not be subjected to hard labor. We should treat them as our own children. Some people who live with others, they treat them very badly. They treat them as second-class citizens to their own children, but that should not be the case. We should give them equal treatment, treat them well, give them good education, give them good health care, give them all that is needed for them to have, so that at least the society can be better for it.
Thank you very much. And what advice would you give to the government?
Well, I wish that the government can do more in this regard, particularly by enforcing some of these rights. We still see kids on the street, still hawking. We still see them still do one or two things on the street. They are not supposed to be on the street. They are supposed to be in schools. So the government should take that responsibility of ensuring that that basic primary education in that law that they say the child must have, that those child are not deprived of it. And I want to thank the government of Akeredolu, our governor, Arakunrin Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, senior advocate, for also giving the children this legacy of not stopping the shuttle bus that takes them to school. It's also a very important social responsibility of government, and I must appreciate him for sustaining that legacy. And I think they also have free palliatives in healthcare. Those are also commendable. So the government should also do more. The school child feeding program should be seen to be enforced, so that at least they have a meal a day. Give them free health care between the age 0 to perhaps 18. Let them have free care, health care facility when they are sick. It's also part of responsibility of government. I know they can always do more.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We know that government can always do more.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olumide Ogidan, for being with us on this show. Some other time we'll be here to do this once again.
Thank you.
And viewer, thank you very much for watching us. For some time you've been watching and listening to Mr. Olumide Ogidan, a legal practitioner who has been telling us elaborately about the rights of the child. He enjoins you to learn how to protect the right of the child, because the child will grow up to become the future of the society. This is how far we can go on today's episode of Law and Justice, your TV human rights program. Today we talk about the rights of the child. When next we meet, we'll find something else to talk about. Yomi Ogunye is my name. Thanks for watching us, and goodbye.